Welcome to Nascimento Marketing's 32 Blitz presented by Living Sport. Tonight we are in the final matchup of round 2 and the Canadian bracket as well. So on today's stream, we have Shannon up top here from Ryerson. We have Alex beneath me, the Living Sport guest. And at the bottom here, we have Zach, the representative of Bishop's University. So before we kind of do any bio background on each of you guys, we'll do the randoms just so we have some visual aspect going on, and then we can kind of get into it. So Shannon, perfectly lined up with the banner. So Shannon, Ryerson, Rams will be on the left. Zach and the Bishop Gators on the right. Oh, okay. Well, Zach's gonna pick Milwaukee. Ooh, that's easy. That's a Golden State. It's gonna be a 3-ball game. Third? That's risky. That's good. Nuggets always seem to come up on the randoms. Like every stream, the Nuggets are on there. Nuggets, you're gonna have to start paying me for this. But yeah, no, that's good stuff. It's loading. Perfect. So, like last time, you guys are pros at this now. You know how the rundown goes. So basically, name, academic, so where you went to school or where you're going to school, and then finally, work or career, I should say. Whether you're currently working with a team or you're kind of talking about your aspirations. So let's go top to bottom. Shannon, Alex, and then Zach.
I'm going to my 4th year at Ryerson University this upcoming fall, and I am in the program Sport Media. And I'm honestly thinking of probably once I'm finished my 4th year, I'm likely going to be going for a master's degree in some kind of sports business program.
Nice. Do you have an idea in Canada?
Yes, in Canada. Toronto, Ontario is where Ryerson's located.
Well, no, but for the master's program you're looking at.
Probably in Canada, yeah.
Yeah, there's quite a few. I just got a bachelor's of not just, I shouldn't say just. I got a bachelor's of commerce in marketing, so solid degree. And now that I'm doing, the sports marketing, sports business, personal brand, I have all these associations and students that are part of these graduate programs reaching out. So now I'm learning about all these programs and meeting these people. So definitely a bunch out there, especially in Canada.
Yeah, for sure.
Alex, do you want to kind of do the same rundown?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Alex Krasnow. I am a senior at Ohio State University. I'm majoring in political communications. With that said, what I'm going into has nothing really to do with my major. I'm trying to work in player development in collegiate basketball. So I graduate next year, and so I've just been, reaching out to programs and having some conversations to hopefully get on that path.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you mean player development, do you mean specifically maybe college, professional? What are you kind of looking at?
Yeah, either way, I probably am going to work my way up starting in college. So I've, started to have some conversations with some programs. We're going to work with Bowling Green State University, which is in Ohio this summer. Unfortunately, due to the coronavirus, that was canceled, of course. But the hope is that, as I continue, it's going to be college to start with, and then maybe down the line, work my way up to the NBA.
Yeah, for sure. Now, I always forget. I don't know why. Maybe I interview a lot of people for my podcast, but if you haven't already, first shameless plug of the stream, the Route podcast. You should check it out because I think 2, maybe 3 weeks ago, I had the NBA's director of international development. So
wow.
Yeah, so they actually went to my university, and I found out they actually substituted at my high school, before I went. But we had a lot in common, and when I was talking with her, she started off as a student, obviously, then, and as a player, became a coach at a small college in BC, and kind of became bigger and bigger, and eventually got attached with Canada basketball, went overseas, and then now director of international development. So that's definitely an interesting podcast to listen to, possibly considering that's right up your route. That's a bazinga. But yeah. Yeah, we'll for sure get into that a bit more, but let's get into Zach, 'cause I know last time it kind of took a while to get into Zach's as well.
Sure. So I'm Zach Graveson, Bishop's alum. I graduated this December. While I was at Bishop's, I was playing football, involved with a bunch of different projects with the BU media team, like some interviews. Or I was also I had my own radio show on 88.9 FM called The Huddle. It was just a sports debate show that we all started, and actually it actually grew pretty well, and we had a good amount of people listening. And now I'm moved to Montreal. I'm working in finance, recruiting in finance, but I'm also working with a sports agency called Vantage Sports. And I just started working with my first client last week, and I've been doing helping him with the thing at Vantage is that we help the players not just in their sport, but everything they have going on around. So for example, Enoch Mwamba, he's a CFL player, played in the NFL as well. And we're helping him. He does interviews with kind of like podcasts. He does interviews with a bunch of people. And right now I'm working on the George St. Pierre interview. And it's just basically helping him market his social media, get his platform going. And someone else, it'll be something else. But it's really like we help players not only for their sport, I'm putting them in a good situation, but helping them like the legal, the financial, the marketing, everything. So I'm doing that as kind of like my B job right now, but it's definitely interesting.
No, for sure. And just kind of touching on that, I'm a pretty big believer in marketing athletes, because that's kind of the way the world's going, where you kind of have an inside look of any little thing. Mm-hmm. If you want to know that information, there's a good chance you can find it now. And there's certain sports, I guess here more in Canada, specifically hockey, when you have an interview, you don't really get to, know the player. They kind of give you the basic answers, like we got to try harder, we weren't there tonight, blah, 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 shoot the puck more, etc., rather than actually telling you how they feel and, what they actually think. And I actually talked to someone who used to do player marketing, at the NFL and NBA. Actually, they're actually negotiating with Saquon at the time, but things fell through. And
he was an agent?
Marketing representative. So it was actually
okay, yeah.
They actually represented Baker Mayfield when he went number 1.
Really?
Yeah. So I don't know if you ever saw Baker Mayfield when he went to the scouting combine. He was supposed to be signing with Nike. It was always supposed to be Nike, but then he wore Adidas cleats at the combine.
Oh yeah.
For the 40. That was part of
that. Is that them?
Yeah, that was part of
really?
To kind of get Nike to stop messing around. But yeah,
that's jokes.
Yeah. So I was speaking with them, and there's I was talking about athlete marketing kind of ideas they have, and they're saying the sport to look at the most is basketball. So that's kind of up Alex's field here, where I think basketball in terms of maybe representation, marketing, branding, etc., even development now with the G League and things like that. I think the NBA is definitely, that's why they're growing so much all over the world and becoming the second soccer, as some people like to say.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, 100%. And I can't say too much about Vantage. We're making our way to the NBA right now. We've got some stuff in the moves, but it's definitely exciting to see, because it's a young agency, so it's cool to see where that goes. But 100% marketability, basketball, man. Why? Because there's no helmets. You see their face, you recognize them in the street. Some people, because of their helmets, you don't always recognize the NFL players. Basketball, you know exactly what they look like, so it's easy to put them in commercials. And
the NBA also has way more colorful personalities compared to a lot of other sports. Like the NBA's got a lot of
But they embrace that,
See, and that's one of the things that the representative kind of told me. For instance, I won't use specific players, but if you look at an older player who's been in the league, he kind of just has pictures of himself, on the court. You know what I mean? Their brand, their lifestyle is basketball. That's it. And, people when they watch the basketball game, okay, that's what they're saying. When basketball's not on, they want to see something else in regards to, so something they can connect with. And that's why, you see younger players now, Ben Simmons, Zion's a perfect example of someone who marketed himself well with these huge dunks, highlight tapes coming up. And that can kind of, look, he didn't even play a full season. He's on the cover of 2K next year. If that doesn't show you what marketing can do.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah. the prevalence of social media. I mean, comparing it with the Jordan documentary that just came out right now, you wonder if Twitter and Instagram were around back then. He was the most popular man on the planet. Imagine what would have been even then. So I'm just,
100%.
the more media that comes out, the more opportunity to talk about it.
Yeah, and so there's two things you said that I want to touch on quickly. So first off, the Jordan doc. Obviously, I see Jordan a little right over your shoulder here. Obviously, you're a huge basketball fan, and I'm sure you watched that doc. But something I was reading, this was almost one huge Jordan commercial, in a sense, where like Jordan sales just skyrocketed after this, because every little scene, it kind of shows how Michael got that sounds like I'm on first name basis. Okay, Michael Jordan here, got involved with Jordan, right? That whole story, the initial contract, how they'd just be happy if he surpassed those totals after the third year, but I think within the first few months, boom, shoe blew up. And then so that's something interesting. And then okay, you're talking about social media and basketball, all sports as well. What do you think in terms of player development, a kind of career you want to get into, where players are they're filming themselves doing the drills, you see them doing crazy dribbling, but it's just them being in a standstill position. There's no defenders, there's no game situation, and I can do some cool tricks in different sports when no one's attacking me, no one's kind of pressuring me. But obviously, look at me, I'm here sitting hosting a stream and a podcast and all that. Not complaining, but what do you think of that? Because I know, what's his name? Norman? No. It's the kid that was 5'7", point guard. His family has a Snapchat show.
Yeah, I'm not sure his name. Julian Newman, maybe?
That's what it is, not Norman. I don't know why I thought it was Norman. But what do you think of all that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's unfortunate, really, with all the positives that media bring to basketball, with just the ability to see different moves, see the footwork, learn so much. I mean, early on in my career, I'm currently a basketball trainer in Cleveland. I've got about 25 to 30 clients. So early on in my career, a lot of what I was doing was looking at the Instagram accounts of these, professional basketball players, these professional trainers. And so the issue that happens with younger players, as you mentioned, is they look at these guys that are at the top. They look at Steph Curry and they say, okay, I'm going to start shooting 40-foot three-pointers, right? The issue with that is, Steph Curry started where we all are, at one point in time. And the reason he got there is because he put the work in that nobody else in the world did. Mm-hmm. Granted, his father himself was actually one of the best three-point shooters ever, so he had a pretty good coach there as well. But the reality is, for a young player, what I would tell them is, if you want to post an Instagram, great, and look cool, and try to dunk, I'm sure it's going to be great for your friends. But if you truly want to get better, it's going to be coming down to what you do when the cameras are off, and what you do when no one's watching, when you're alone, and when it's hard. So that's kind of the biggest thing there.
Yeah, absolutely. Quickly here, let's plug your account here.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So my basketball account is at Kras Training. That is AKRAS Training. I post a lot of my players on there. Got a lot of guys that are going to be playing college ball in a few years. So definitely cool to kind of look at them and take a look at them before they get too big.
Yeah.
How much do you use social media to get your clients? Is that like your main source?
Yeah, so that's actually exactly it. My dad is a high school basketball coach in Cleveland at a pretty solid high school. They're pretty talented. And so I started working with those guys, and then they would kind of connect me to their friends. They repost all of my Instagram stories and posts, and so their friends see it, DM me, and from that I've gotten a pretty good grouping in Cleveland.
Yeah, that's amazing. And
really, that's awesome.
A question I kind of wanted to build on that is, do you find it maybe hinders the development going forward, because maybe you're so focused on hitting like a 45-foot jumper, spinning the ball on all your fingers pretty well at the age of 10, rather than actually getting technical and having the right fundamentals? Do you think kind of hinders them, just kind of trying to be flashy?
Yeah, I mean, more than even hinders, it basically kind of completely throws off their development. To me, if you want, the way that I kind of teach people and the way that I train myself is, if you want to be great, if you want to get to that top level, watch the guys that are there right now. So what I did, who I am as a basketball trainer is my focus is shooting mechanics. So I studied the greatest shooters of all time. I studied the Steph Currys, the Klay Thompsons. So at young age, when I'm, I don't do too many youth players, but when I work with youth players, what I'm focusing on is the basic fundamentals within 5 to 10 feet. If you want to be serious about getting fundamentals correct, it's about really getting down to around the basket, get your form right, and then as you grow and get stronger, that's when you can start getting that deep range. But it definitely takes a lot of time.
That's interesting. And, I think I'll move on here quickly to Shannon because, got to keep it, fairly even. But one quick thing here. Let's say for an intramural all-star like myself throughout all university, what's a quick little tip you can give me for improving my jumper?
I wanted to ask that question.
Yeah.
I was like, yo, I need some basketball advice here, man. The courts are open. Summertime.
The biggest thing that I tell everyone that doesn't play basketball too much but wants to, improve something a little bit, the most important part of the shot, in my opinion, is actually the base. So it's the legs. If you start off with your jump shot, your legs are completely squared to the basket, you're down using your hips, and you're able to really just get that flick on the release. One, you're going to be more squared to the basket, so you're going to make it at a higher efficiency. And two, it's going to be a softer shot when you flick it. So basically, a lot of times you'll hit the rim, and if it's not flicked, which means it's not soft, it's going to hit the rim and bounce out. When you flick the wrist, that's where, you can get those soft rolls, the shooter's bounce, as they say. So square up, keep it on your dominant side, and just flick it, and you got a good chance.
Okay, well, that's great.
It's earlier in life.
Yeah. Yeah. I won't ask you for too much more tips because otherwise you're going to start charging me. But that's pretty good. I don't know why, but it's one of my pet peeves when I play sports and I see someone that doesn't have a square base. Like, I don't know why. It makes me itch. But even when someone walks down the street, I don't know why. I see, like, feet coming in. Obviously, some people with their ankles. But when they're kind of out like this or they're kind of my sister or my cousins, they're walking in front of me. I'm like, guys, come on. Like, let's be square base here. But yeah. I don't know why I had to get into that. But
Shannon, I'll be honest. That buzzer, I had no idea how much time was on the clock. That was really lucky.
I know. I was getting this for you there. I was like, take advantage of that.
But who's winning? Zach's winning. Oh, this is a tight game. Okay, here, let me throw it off here.
Does the bench switch automatically, or do I have to do that?
No, they'll switch.
Damn, why are these guys starting?
I think at least.
He's waiting for Curry to come back in. That's why. Eh?
Yeah, I'm trying to shoot these threes.
Yeah, he got Alex's advice. Now he's gonna go with Curry, get that strong base.
Curry, get that strong base. Yeah.
Here, Shannon, what's something we can get? Not to throw you off the game or anything here, but there's some great basketball advice that was just given here. What's something that you can provide, with any of us in your field that we can take away with it?
Great advice. Probably I touched on it last time I was on here, but just in the sense of media for sport media, it's obviously a way smaller pool in Canada, and basically everyone has they always tell you don't burn bridges, and I mean that can go for anything in life, be a nice person, but especially career wise, if you go on, you burn a bridge with someone and they end up being your boss, you're just going to look like the idiot in the long run. So, I mean, just be nice. That's why. Be nice. 100%. And always smile.
I got, when I went for coffee, I can't now, obviously. But when I was going for coffee chats during university, at the end, I'm like, hey, do you have any life advice that I could take away on top of all this additional, career advice? And one of the big things are, you'd be surprised how much of a difference just being nice is, because they would say how you'd be shocked how much people when they grow up and in their careers or even in the industry, kind of lack that.
I feel especially too, with how big social media is, it's you can you don't even need to see your friends anymore. You can have a total relationship without seeing them in person. So I feel even now, just people will notice good social skills in person, just because don't really all online now.
You're gonna get me going on a tangent right here. So obviously, fortunately enough for me, my account has kind of grown during COVID, and with that has come more messages from, students and even like LinkedIn getting more requests. And sometimes the messages you get, just kind of the opening message, I always write mine like very formally, like, hey, like, love to chat, blah, blah, blah. I get people going, what's up, bro? Or what's up, man? Or like any thing like that where it mind boggles me because
Just like simple things like that.
Exactly. And like my Nascimento marketing account doesn't have too many pictures of me. It's more like I'm going to start doing that more because it is a personal brand. But it's mostly like marketing material, events that are going on. So someone couldn't easily say, hey, this is a recent graduate or he's in his 20s, right? So for all they know, I'm a 40-year-old executive or, I don't know, anything like that. And they're like, what's up, bro? Or for sure, dude. And I'm saying this from my account, but I also manage like my team's account. And even then, some of the messages you're getting from people trying to join, they're like, come on, guys, like do yourself a solid. But
give me something to work with.
Yeah. Shannon, I'm going to have to start asking you questions because you're winning. Yeah. Alex.
You used to ask me one.
Yeah, and we're going to go again. So, oh, you know what? I think I asked you this last time and did touch on it, but maybe I want a little more advice here. So, I forgot to do my intro. Christopher Nascimento. I'm behind Nascimento Marketing. I'm a recent marketing grad. I kind of touched on that. And I'm working with Athletic Ottawa, the new soccer team here in the city. And my title is in marketing, but I kind of, since it's a new team expansion franchise and, COVID happened, the team's fairly limited. So I kind of interact with media, communications, and social media as well. So one of the things I asked Shannon last time is kind of a media tip. Because I know, Shannon, correct me if I'm wrong, you worked with CBC briefly?
Yeah, currently working with them, yeah.
Perfect.
Kind of like on a little break because of COVID related stuff. But I'm working with them this weekend because they just got the broadcast deal for the CBL, which is like the Canadian Basketball League here, which is like our mini NBA that they're just starting up, which I think has like a lot of promise because Canadian basketball is definitely on the rise right now. Thanks, like obviously with upcoming talent and also the Raptors championship run, like basketball is on the rise in Canada. So,
For sure.
but yeah, so I'm working with them this weekend, and I kind of just have like a really like sit back, watch and learn role right now. But you have to start somewhere, right? So.
Yeah. And okay, let me ask you this, because you're in media, so I'm curious your opinion on this. Do you still believe that TV is mainstream media, or is now social media the mainstream media?
Well, I feel like social media 100% for the younger demographic, like people our age and like even like going into like late 20s, but definitely for the older, like the boomers, our parents and that, TV is still like their go-to. Yeah. So definitely things are going to change as like they get older and the demographics change. But I think right now it's still kind of like a mix. And I think the key for moving on for like just businesses, teams and everything in general is for them to find the perfect mix between TV and social media that they like kind of work with each other. And that way, like, you're just never going to run it. They're just going to continue to build each other. And with that interaction, they'll just kind of keep TV alive.
So do
you think you should put more focus into social media or TV if you had to pick one?
Well, from like, if you look at it in a business point, teams' biggest, like by far source of income is those broadcast deals, like multi-million. Yeah. Like the money's all in broadcast deals, and I don't know really how.
But if you want to market the team,
marketing,
yeah,
I would personally say, now you're really
throwing you some tough ones. You were winning. See,
I'm going to remove Shannon from the situation because Shannon's employer is a broadcaster, so we don't need to get into that.
I mean, like, obviously TV.
Yeah, TV. Yeah, that's the correct answer, Shannon. For you.
For fun. Like,
I can answer the marketing questions. But, yeah.
That's a good one, though. Thank you for really distracted me there, and we all tied up again, eh?
Yeah.
That wasn't actually the purpose, but it did work. I can't lie.
So now the question is going to go back to
I
someone
was
else.
genuinely curious.
What were we doing? Sorry. I was just saying if there's going to be an end one. But we were just talking about social media. Oh, yeah. I think just in terms of broadcasting packages going forward, and you kind of saw the shift, at least. I'm assuming everyone here is around the same age, like early, mid-20s-ish, about.
Yeah.
Where you kind of grew up and there's still cable, right? So, cable, everyone kind of gets the same thing and you can do add-ons. Then eventually, I think in our teen years, that's when there was more of the, I think it was called digital TV or something like that, where you have to buy these boxes and different packages, and you can pick sports, history, cooking, whatever channels, and it's basically curated to your desires. And just kind of going on what Zach was saying about if you think TV's dying. I don't know if you'd call it necessarily dying. I think what we thought of TV before, like these programs, like Friends, How I Met Your Mother, all these different shows being broadcast on like CBS, NBC, all that is dying. But I think what's eventually going to happen from, at least here in Canada, Bell, Rogers, and in the States, like, what's the one with the V called? Not video. So Alex, help me out. What are the big providers in the States for TV and cell phones?
AT&T.
AT&T. Was there one with the V?
Verizon.
Sorry, I haven't lived in the States in like 10 years. But yeah. So I think companies like that, they're basically just gonna be shifting to streaming packages. So basically, you can sign up with them and then get, I don't know, DAZN and ESPN streaming, like all this is streaming packages. Then you can get Disney, Netflix, Hulu, and that's all one bundle, or a bundle that you created. So I think that's where the shift is going to be, and because think about all these big broadcast companies, they all have like streaming services. Like TSN in Canada has TSN Go. Companies like DAZN are picking up all the rights for these different leagues. So I definitely think there's going to be a switch in that sense. But yeah. Oh, and the last thing I was going to say here, building on what Shannon was saying and having that little mix between social media and TV, I think that's what you're kind of seeing in these social media platforms right now. So you have Facebook. Facebook now has Facebook Watch. YouTube has YouTube Originals. I think they also do YouTube Live, so sometimes you can catch sports there. Instagram, IGTV. So all of these platforms are kind of shifting to try to, bring video to their platform. So I think there'll be a switch in that sense, but I don't know. I don't know about you guys, but I can't watch sports on a computer screen. It's awful.
Yeah, that's why.
Part of me feels you need that HDMI.
Oops, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh yeah, no, I was just like, that's why I think TV will never fully die in a sense where, you're sitting at home with your family. It's more, enjoyable to be watching. Obviously, it'll be providers, but I like that. I think with everything that happens when cable, there are so many negatives about cable. So these, TV providers came and so many people said, that's going to make cable extinct. Well, the reality is it's because there's something so much better with like the Hulus and the Netflixes out there. So we're just evolving with it.
I think that's just how the world goes, right? Like, it's always going to get innovated. Essentially, you look at a car 100 years ago, so basically like a box on wheels. Now you have, full-blown hot, like electric cars, and everyone at the start, they're, I don't know, the battery's not going to last. But if you read about it, by 2025, like Europe, I think they're not going to sell any more electric cars. And that's Volkswagen that's doing that, and Volkswagen owns Audi, Lamborghini. I'm blanking right. I think they might own BMW. Maybe not. I know they own Porsche. Anyways, this huge entity is Europe, a huge market. They're like, no more electric car or gas cars, which is basically that shift. And everyone's kind of hesitant right now. But as time goes on, in like 15 years, you're going to be like, oh yeah, no one's even going to think twice about it. And I think the same thing is going to happen because of COVID, where
oh my God,
I said this in a meeting today that I think COVID and the way it's kind of forcing us into a recession that was going to happen soon enough is that it's going to force businesses to just innovate if they failed now, where you're going to get streaming platforms, maybe more people working from home, and it's going to force sports teams to kind of, just not just sit down on on their season ticket holders and actually have to provide an experience or something worthwhile to get someone out of the house.
For sure.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a very different sporting experience that's going to be happening in Canada and the United States this year, however, though.
Yeah. Well, Canada's pretty. What's the right? Maybe I'll say conservative in the sense that. So I live in Ottawa, about 1 million people in population, and I think we have 50 active cases, but we're still social distancing, wearing masks, like the full 9 yards. Whereas I've had people on the stream from the States, and they were, oh yeah, like we were opened up completely last week, and now we're completely shut down. So I think it just kind of depends on the government for sure. But I know the Blue Jays.
Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely depends on the government. I mean, I don't want to get too political on you, but it's unfortunate that you really see here the discrepancy in leadership between the two countries. So
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, we don't need to get into it, but I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, one thing that you can just tell in like sports in Canada versus the U.S. The Blue Jays were denied to play in Toronto, so that's pretty interesting.
Really?
Yeah. I think that makes sense because if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong here. MLB, they're still playing in their home parks, correct?
Yeah, it's kind of all.
Yeah, I think so.
There's no fans, but like I think yesterday, the Mets, obviously like the Mets and the Yankees are right beside each other, but I saw like the Mets playing, at the Yankees, and then you're gonna have all these other teams starting out pretty soon the next week, so that's kind of iffy, traveling around the country, especially if someone is infected or gets infected. Yeah. So. Yeah, we're closing up here. I think I was doing a pretty good job of directing questions at the right people when I needed to.
It's a tight one, man. It's gonna go down to the last second, maybe.
Yeah, you know what? Here, I'll say this now because I always end up forgetting this. So the winner of today's matchup will be playing next Sunday, or this upcoming Sunday, I should say. Sunday, July 26th versus Concordia University. So that's a good matchup. You'll be playing 2K. Additionally, if you win today, you win next Sunday, and then you win the 29th to get to the finals. So 4 wins, and the prize is yours. You will receive a $500 scholarship for a 2021 Living Sport program. Huge prize. Alex, we touched on this before the stream began. You're a Living Sport alum. You know how great of a prize pack that is, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. So really, before I went on Living Sport, I wasn't having too many conversations with college programs. I had the intention, and I really wanted it, but the guidance is kind of where I lacked, and I think that's where a lot of young professionals in sports are. And so having the ability to sit down for a week at a time, I believe it was 10 days, sit down for 10 days and speak to individuals that are in the sports profession that have a lot of experience around that helped me a ton. And so on top of that, even small things like improving your resume, understanding what people are looking for in a cover letter, emails, it was incredible. And so since then, it's been a little bit over a year. We just got the 1 year since, and it was an awesome experience there. But since then, it's really my career, in a sense, communications wise, has taken off, and the hope is that that all becomes worth it when I graduate at the end of this year.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know if we touched on it on this stream, but it's said on my podcast throughout all major platforms, and we kind of talk about this every stream, is that it's all about who you know. And you can say that's just sports, but I think that's also in life as well, where it might have been today's podcast as well that came out, that it was a student who actually went to the same school as myself. He finished a few years ahead of me, and he began working in sports, because that's what he enjoyed. But his passion was really digital marketing, and he kind of shifted and started his own business, his own agency. And I think at the moment of the recording, he had 12 clients. And he said on the podcast that out of all the clients he's had, all 11 were from connections. They met in the past at some networking event. They know his work, something like this, where they kind of met and had that initial interaction rather than just shooting that cold call email, that cold call phone call, or even I guess in terms of job application, just applying online. I'll be the first one to say, I think in January when I finished a semester early, I was going on Teamwork Online. I know Alex probably knows that's a big site in the States. Teamwork Online, I'm going to invoice you for that shout out. But I think I applied to maybe 80 jobs. I'm not going to lie though. Some of them were director positions. But, shoot your shot, get your resume on the table. And obviously some of them were like in China, Austria, Germany, all over the place. But, I had very limited companies that ended up reaching back to me saying, hey, no, we're not interested, or hey, we're interested, blah, 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 things like this. So you get a minute percentage of those people. But by now networking so much, having this podcast, having a stream like this, you get to know people in all these different markets, these different teams, different sports, that it seems much easier now to kind of pivot if I wish to. And that's how I got my position with Atletico Ottawa, just from a guest on my podcast referred me to someone else, who referred me to someone else, and now I'm working with that third connection. So kind of crazy how it happens, and I think Living Sport would do a great service for anyone who wants to make that initial entry.
Yeah, and off of something you said, a really cool line that I heard and kind of based off of that was, it's not about who you know, it's about who knows you. So, I send about, I'd say, 30 to 50 emails to different programs a day. And so some of them, don't really get anywhere. I'd say about 85% of them don't get anywhere. But it's that one phone call, it's that one email, it's that one response that you do all of it for. And so the second that they know you, you start there. You work, as you said, same exact thing. You work your way up. So absolutely,
100%. Last thing I'll say here. So once again, $500 scholarship for 2021 Living Sport program for the winner of the whole tournament. But would you ever consider working in Canada for basketball? No, basketball development.
Oh, not to the question. To freaking.
Absolutely. No, I absolutely would. To be completely honest with you, I think the Raptors organization is one of, if not the best run organizations in the NBA. On top of that, this past year, obviously winning the championship, you love people that are passionate. You want to see people that are really emotional about what you're doing. What I do in basketball, I'm really passionate about. I work really hard to be great at. So, being around people that want to be great and, want to do what it takes to, take those next steps. Canada seems to have those. And so I would be thrilled with an opportunity to work in Canadian basketball.
Yeah, absolutely. Just building on the Raptors run last year. I remember when they were going, so I live in Ottawa, 5 hours away from Toronto. Streets completely shut down. So across the whole country, it was Canada's team. But that's the stream. Shannon, is that correct? Shannon?
Oh, that
Shannon
was a tight one. That was tight.
You know what? We gave him a show, man. I don't mind. I'll take that. That was a good game.
That was good stuff.
Game.
Yeah. That was fantastic. So, Shannon, you're moving on to play Concordia next Sunday. So be there. Don't miss it.
Ass, eh?
Yeah. Yeah.
I love this setup, but the only thing is that you guys actually have such a good conversation. I want to hear what you guys are saying, but I'm also trying to tune in.
It's still available on Twitch and YouTube.
I was gonna say I'm gonna have to go back and listen because I love that Alex is totally involved in basketball because obviously huge fan. I'm all about basketball, so I'm gonna go back just to listen to all the stuff you have because you sound like quite the knowledgeable guy.
Absolutely. Thank you. I appreciate that. I talk basketball all day. Literally, today I was training basketball from about 10 to 5, had a little bit of practice after that. So I live it. I love it. And I love talking about it. So I'm all about it. Thank you.
Definitely have to connect them because I'd love to hear more.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we'll all connect. We'll send it in the Instagram chat afterwards. But with saying that, if anyone wants to add anyone on the stream, our last names, or full name, I should say, right here in the bottom corner. So just add them up. I'm accepting. I'm always willing to speak to people when I'm available. And, with the stream ending, one thing I always like to do is kind of do a complete rundown again of, who's who, what their interests are, and what kind of career path they're trying to get into, just to kind of reiterate that. So let's and Shannon, I'll just kind of touch on something that you're saying. That's kind of the beauty. It's either you win you win by large amounts of points, or sometimes you settle down, look away from the screen, enjoy the conversation. So, it's something you can have.
It's a win-win. It's a win-win.
This is also a job
Exactly.
interview. The Raptors are watching this and they're like, "Oh, Shannon can't multitask that well." No, but yeah, no. Here, let's go bottom to top since we went top to bottom initially. Zach, do you want to kind of give that last final rundown?
Yeah, sure. Well, first of all, thanks, man, for having me. So this is my last round. I'm peacing out after this. But honestly, man, the like I said last time, this whole concept, this idea, the networking you're doing, and I've told you again, like we've talked about it again and again, but it's about like your network, getting to know people and putting your name out there. So what you're doing with this, you're not only doing it for yourself, but you're giving other people the opportunity. I think that's awesome.
Thank you.
And for me personally, just honestly, like whatever opportunity shows up, I'm always ready. Right now, I think we mentioned it last time. At our age, it's time to give. You invest your time into people, and you shouldn't expect to receive. So now I'm just trying to show my value with the sports agency, with the clients I have throughout the sports agency, and whoever else I come across. Like keep your network strong. Don't burn those bridges, like Shannon said. And whatever opportunities next, I'm ready for it. So I don't really have a limitation of what I'm really trying to do.
Yeah, no, that's perfectly put, and that's kind of the whole objective behind this whole tournament. Where in these crazy times, kind of hard to go for coffee chats, like I said earlier, but it allows everyone to kind of look. Everyone's in their rooms, in their houses, sitting on a couch, etc. You're in a comfortable situation. You're being authentic, and it allows you to make that genuine connection. So that's for sure kind of one of the goals behind all of this. But Alex, do you kind of want to do the final rundown?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, I'm Alex Krasnow. I'm looking for a career in player development. Really, I love basketball. My biggest thing to everyone is, find what I call your grind, or find your passion. Whatever you do, especially at our point in life, as you grow and as you kind of get older, the potential that you have in life, not that it goes down, but you kind of have less ability to be, flexible with that stuff. So if you're going to do it now, do it all the way, and then go from there. If it works out, it works out. If it doesn't, you're going to be happy in other ways. So just find your passion and, be good.
100%. That's well put. Shannon?
So basically, Zach touched his up really nice, so I won't go too much past that. But basically, connections, go out there, do what you have to do. And then especially, like for me in the media sense, now that school is online, I will probably won't have to leave my apartment this much, but I'm going to use that time. I'm going to work. Like I've touched a little bit with video editing, a little bit of making my own graphics. Like Chris, I can tell you, you're amazing at yours. I've been noticing that each time. But yeah, basically just also at this stage, though, like we're kind of in this spot. Like you could be going out, you could be like getting crazy with your friends every weekend, or it's the people that do make it into this industry are the ones that stay home, work on their craft. What am I going to do? Who am I going to meet that's going to get me to the next level? So basically, I think I'm really going to focus this year on working on what I'm doing and what I need to do to get better. And once again, thank you, Chris, for having this amazing tournament layout. And I've met 2 more amazing people today that hopefully I will be able to connect with again in the future. And
100%.
Yeah, absolutely. And you guys kind of take all the words out of my mouth. So there's not too much else to say here, but that's kind of the beauty of sports, right? Where everyone's kind of I was in accounting initially, so growing up, I was going to be an accountant, etc. And it kind of hit me where if I'm going to be happy, if I'm going to be passionate about something, I'm going to do something to the best of my abilities. It had to be in sports, and I think that's the beauty of sports, where everyone's extremely passionate about everything they do. And then you have people like Shannon said, if you're actually going to get into the industry, it's because you kind of worked, so it kind of already has that first barrier of entry. Is the lazy people almost get cut out of this. For the most part, I'm assuming. But so I love meeting everyone like you guys here throughout the whole tournament as well, and even just out in the world of sports. So for sure, amazing. Thank you again for taking a night out of your busy weeks to join us. And that's it for round 2. So we're chugging along here. Round 3 begins. Actually, I have a break tomorrow, so that's good stuff. Wednesday. It begins Wednesday. So round 3 begins Wednesday. I believe it will be Maryland versus Penn State on 2K. So that's a big matchup. Penn State, I'm not going to lie, they're pretty good at 2K. So that's something you should watch. But yeah, I'm Chris for Nascimento. of Nascimento Marketing. If you want to connect with me, listen to my podcast on all major platforms, the route be the first thing that you find. And yeah, connect with me. I answer messages as quick as I can. Sometimes I can't get to all of them right away, but yeah, shoot me a message. I can set up calls. That's how I got in contact with Zach initially, by having that call. And yeah, that's it for tonight. Thank you for joining, and tune in again Wednesday. As for you guys, just stay on the Zoom call just so I can say one last thing.
Sounds good.
Cool.